entitled parent stepmom stole dad's restaurant, so I ruined their holiday. I'm staring at the forged signature on the property transfer documents, and my hands are literally shaking with rage. That's my mom's signature, or what's supposed to be my mom's signature, on papers dated 3 months after she died from cancer. My stepmom Rebecca really thought she was clever, didn't she? Honey, you look pale. Everything okay? Rebecca's sickeningly sweet voice drifts from the kitchen where she's preparing her famous holiday cookies. The same recipe she stole from my mom's collection, by the way. She steals everything. Just fine, Rebecca. I call back, quickly shoving the documents back into the manila folder I found hidden in Dad's home office. My heart is pounding so hard I'm surprised she can't hear it from 2 rooms away. I discovered this nightmare by complete accident. Dad asked me to grab his passport from his office safe for their upcoming Christmas vacation to Cabo, the trip Rebecca insisted they desperately needed after his difficult year of grieving. Now I know why she was so eager to get him out of town during the holidays. She's planning to sell Sophia's, my mom's family restaurant that's been in our family for 3 generations. The restaurant my great-grandmother started with nothing but determination and a dream. The place where my mom met my dad when he was a struggling college kid who couldn't afford a full meal, so she'd sneak him extra bread and soup. Where I spent countless afternoons doing homework in the back booth while Mom prepped vegetables and told me stories about our family's recipes that came from Italy. Rebecca wants to sell it to Meridian Development Corp for their new strip mall project. I saw the preliminary offer letter. They're lowballing her at $300,000 when the property is easily worth twice that. But she doesn't care because it's not really hers to sell. Except legally, apparently it is now. The documents show that somehow, ownership transferred from my dad to Rebecca 6 months ago. There's a deed, a quitclaim form, and even what looks like my dad's notarized signature agreeing to make her the sole proprietor as a gesture of love and trust in their marriage. But here's what Rebecca doesn't know that I know: Dad would never, ever give up that restaurant. We talked about it just last month when I was home from college. He was planning to teach me the business side so I could eventually take over. It was going to be my inheritance, my connection to Mom's memory. The restaurant is the only place I still feel close to her, he told me, tears in his eyes as we sat in that same back booth where I used to do homework. Sometimes I swear I can still smell her perfume in the kitchen. Dad's been a mess since Mom died 18 months ago. Rebecca swooped in during his darkest period, playing the caring nurse who understood his pain. They got married after 6 months of dating, a courthouse ceremony because Dad couldn't handle anything elaborate so soon. I never trusted her, but I kept my mouth shut because Dad seemed happier. Less broken. Now I realize she wasn't healing him. She was positioning herself to rob him blind. The vacation is in 4 days. Christmas Eve is in 6 days. According to the timeline in these documents, she plans to finalize the sale on December 26th, while Dad thinks he's relaxing on a beach. Rebecca thinks she's won. She has no idea that she just messed with the wrong person's family legacy. Time to ruin her holiday. I spend the next 2 hours in Dad's office, photographing every document with my phone while Rebecca hums Christmas carols in the kitchen like she doesn't have a care in the world. The deeper I dig, the worse it gets. There's a whole folder labeled estate planning that makes my blood boil. Rebecca has somehow gotten herself listed as the primary beneficiary on Dad's life insurance policy. His 401k. Even his personal bank accounts show her as the joint owner with rights of survivorship. She systematically erased me from my own father's life. But the restaurant documents are the smoking gun. I find the original property transfer papers, and I can clearly see where someone used correction fluid to alter dates. The notary stamp looks wrong too, the embossed seal doesn't line up properly with the signature. This is amateur hour forgery. My phone buzzes with a text from my roommate. How's break going? Ready for Christmas chaos? Christmas tree. If she only knew. Sweetheart, can you come help me with these cookies? Rebecca calls out. I want them to be perfect for your father. I grit my teeth and head to the kitchen, slipping my phone into my back pocket. Rebecca is wearing Mom's old apron, the one with tiny roses that Mom wore every Sunday when she'd make homemade pasta. Seeing Rebecca in it makes me want to scream. These look great, I lie, watching her pipe frosting onto sugar cookies. She's even using Mom's special decorating tips that I helped pick out for Mother's Day 3 years ago. Your mother had such wonderful recipes, Rebecca sighs dramatically. I just feel so honored to carry on her traditions. I know how much the restaurant meant to her. The audacity is breathtaking. Actually, about the restaurant, I say carefully, testing the waters. Dad was telling me about some business decisions he's been considering. Big changes coming. Rebecca's hand freezes for just a second, but she recovers quickly. Oh, you know your father. Always thinking about the future. He works so hard, I keep telling him he deserves to retire and enjoy life. Retire. Right. By selling his wife's family legacy for scraps. Has anyone been interested in buying it? I press. Now she's definitely uncomfortable. She sets down the piping bag and turns to face me fully. Honey, I think those kinds of business discussions should stay between your father and me. Marriage is about making decisions together, as partners. There's something in her tone that wasn't there before. A warning. Of course, I say sweetly. I just worry about Dad making any big decisions while he's still grieving. You know how emotional he gets. Rebecca's smile doesn't reach her eyes. Your father is stronger than you think. And he trusts me to help guide him toward what's best for our family. Our family. Like I'm not even part of it anymore. My phone buzzes again, and when I glance at it, my heart stops. It's a text from Dad. Can't find my passport anywhere in the office. Did you have any luck? Rebecca really has her heart set on this trip. Shit. I was so focused on the documents that I completely forgot why I was in there in the first place. Everything okay? Rebecca asks, and I swear there's a smirk playing at the corners of her mouth. Dad can't find his passport, I mumble, heading back toward the office. Oh, that's strange, Rebecca calls after me, her voice dripping with false concern. I could have sworn I saw it in his desk drawer just yesterday. I hope it didn't get misplaced somehow. The way she says it makes my skin crawl. I have a horrible feeling that passport isn't missing by accident. Rebecca doesn't just want Dad out of town. She wants him trapped out of town. I tear through Dad's office like a woman possessed, pulling out every drawer, checking behind every file folder. The passport is nowhere to be found, but I discover something that makes my stomach drop to the floor. Hidden behind Dad's college diploma is another manila envelope, this one marked urgent, attorney review required. Inside are foreclosure notices for the restaurant property dating back 3 months. According to these documents, the mortgage payments haven't been made since September. But that's impossible. Dad's obsessive about bills. Even in his worst grief fog, he'd never let Mom's restaurant go into foreclosure. Unless he doesn't know about it. I checked the mailing address on the notices, they've all been sent to a P.O. box I don't recognize. Rebecca's been intercepting the mail. She let the restaurant fall behind on purpose, probably planning to swoop in as the helpful wife who could save the property by taking ownership. My phone rings, making me jump out of my skin. Dad's name flashes on the screen. Hey sweetheart, any luck with that passport? I can hear stress in his voice, and something else, hope. He really wants this vacation. After 18 months of barely functioning, he's finally looking forward to something. Still searching, Dad. When did you last see it? I honestly can't remember. Rebecca mentioned wanting to check that it wasn't expired, so I told her where I keep it. But now. He trails off, and I hear Rebecca's voice in the background, too muffled to make out words. Dad, about the restaurant. How are things going there? Financially, I mean. Silence stretches so long I think we lost connection. Why would you ask that? His voice has changed completely. You've seemed stressed lately. More than usual. Honey, the restaurant is fine. Rebecca's been handling a lot of the paperwork for me while I focus on the day-to-day operations. She's incredibly organized, much better with that stuff than I ever was. My heart breaks a little. He sounds so grateful, so trusting. He has no idea his organized wife has been systematically destroying his life. That's great, Dad. I'm glad she's helping. She really is amazing. I know you two got off to a rocky start, but Rebecca loves this family. She wants what's best for us. After we hang up, I sit in his office chair trying not to scream. How do I tell my father that his wife is a sociopathic con artist? He's finally starting to heal, and this revelation will shatter him completely. But if I don't tell him, he'll lose everything anyway. Any luck in there? Rebecca appears in the doorway like she materialized from thin air. How long has she been standing there? No passport yet, I say, watching her face carefully. She steps into the office, and I notice she's changed out of Mom's apron. Now she's wearing a red sweater I've never seen before, expensive looking, with a designer label visible at the neckline. You know, she says casually, running her finger along Dad's desk, I've been thinking about that conversation we had in the kitchen. About the restaurant. What about it? I'd hate for you to worry unnecessarily about your father's business decisions. Sometimes when we're young, we don't understand the complexities of adult financial planning. The condescension in her voice makes my teeth clench. I'm 22, Rebecca. Not 12. Of course, sweetheart. But your father and I have been working very hard to secure our future together. It would be unfortunate if someone misunderstood our plans and created unnecessary drama. There it is. The threat, wrapped up in her sweet stepmother voice. I would never want to cause drama, I lie smoothly. Rebecca smiles, but her eyes stay cold. I'm so glad we understand each other. She's already won, and she knows it. Or so she thinks. After Rebecca leaves me alone in the office, I sit there for a moment, my mind racing. Her threat was clear, stay quiet or face consequences. But she made one crucial mistake, she assumed I'm just some college kid who'll back down when confronted. She obviously doesn't know that I spent last summer interning at a law firm. I pull out my phone and start making calls. First, I reach out to Marcus Chen, one of the paralegals I worked with who specialized in real estate fraud. He doesn't answer, but I leave a detailed voicemail about forged signatures and altered documents. Next, I call the county clerk's office. It takes 3 transfers, but I finally reach someone in the property records department. I need to verify some recent property transfers, I explain, giving them the restaurant's address. Specifically, anything filed in the last 6 months. The clerk puts me on hold for what feels like forever. When she comes back, her voice is confused. Ma'am, I'm showing conflicting records for this property. There are 2 different transfer documents filed within the same week, both claiming to be the official deed transfer. My pulse quickens. 2 different ones. Yes, and that's unusual. One shows transfer to a Rebecca Morrison, the other shows the property remaining with a James Morrison but with a significant mortgage modification. I'm honestly not sure which one takes legal precedence. Bingo. Rebecca filed forged paperwork, but the bank filed legitimate mortgage documents at the same time. She created a legal mess that any decent attorney could tear apart. Could you email me copies of both documents? I ask. I'm sorry, but those would need to be requested by the property owner or their legal representative. I'm about to argue when I hear Rebecca's footsteps in the hallway. I quickly hang up and shove my phone into my pocket just as she appears with a plate of cookies. Thought you might want a snack while you search, she says sweetly. The cookies look perfect, exactly like the ones Mom used to make. It's like Rebecca is wearing my mother's entire identity as a costume. Thanks, I mumble, taking one to keep up appearances. Rebecca perches on the edge of Dad's desk, way too casual for someone who's supposedly helping me look for a passport. You know, I've been thinking about your college expenses. Your father mentioned you're struggling with tuition costs. This is new. Dad and I never discuss my tuition, my scholarships and part-time job cover most of it. Your father works so hard, Rebecca continues, but money's been tight since your mother's medical bills. Those cancer treatments were incredibly expensive. She's fishing for information, trying to figure out how much I know about the family's finances. But she's also revealing something crucial, she knows about Mom's medical debt, which means she's seen financial records going back to before she even met Dad. I'm managing okay, I say carefully. Well, if things get difficult, I want you to know that your father and I are here for you. Family takes care of family. She pauses, letting that sink in. Of course, family loyalty goes both ways, doesn't it? Another threat, delivered with a smile and a plate of stolen cookies. My phone buzzes with a text, and I glance at it quickly. It's from Marcus at the law firm. Call me ASAP. What you described sounds like textbook mortgage fraud. I try to keep my expression neutral, but Rebecca catches the change. Good news, I hope, she asks. Just my roommate asking about Christmas plans. Rebecca's eyes narrow slightly. She's suspicious now, and that makes her dangerous. Speaking of Christmas, she says, standing up from the desk, I should mention that I invited a few friends over for Christmas dinner. Business associates of mine. I hope you don't mind, your father thinks it's important that we expand our social circle. Business associates. Right around the time she's planning to finalize the restaurant sale. She's not just stealing from Dad, she's throwing a celebration dinner to mark her victory. My blood turns to ice. Business associates? Yes, lovely people from the development industry. They're very interested in local investment opportunities. Rebecca's smile could cut glass. I thought it would be nice to have some stimulating dinner conversation about the future of our community. She's planning to celebrate selling Mom's restaurant at Christmas dinner. In our house. Probably while Dad's still trapped in Mexico without his mysteriously missing passport. That sounds interesting, I manage. I knew you'd understand. Rebecca heads toward the door, then pauses. Oh, and honey. I found your father's passport. My heart stops. You did? Mm-hmm. Silly me, I'd moved it to my jewelry box for safekeeping and completely forgot. She pulls the navy blue passport from her pocket, waving it casually. Crisis averted. The timing is too convenient. She had it all along, waiting to see how I'd react to everything else. This was a test, and I'm not sure if I passed or failed. After Rebecca leaves, I immediately call Marcus back. Jesus, where do I even start, he says after I explain the passport situation. This woman is running a full-scale con. But here's the thing, mortgage fraud is federal. If you can prove she's been intercepting mail and forging documents, this goes way beyond simple theft. How do I prove it? You need the original documents, not just photos. And preferably a paper trail showing her intent. Bank records, communications about the sale, anything that shows premeditation. My mind races. What if I could get her to admit it on recording? That's risky. And depending on your state's consent laws, potentially inadmissible. But it might be enough to get authorities interested. I'm about to respond when I hear Dad's car in the driveway. He's home early from the restaurant. I have to go, I whisper, hanging up quickly. Dad walks in looking exhausted, flowers still dusting his shirt. Rebecca immediately appears, like she's been waiting by the window. Darling. You look tired. How was the dinner rush? She kisses his cheek while somehow managing to show him the passport at the same time. Look what I found. Dad's face lights up, the first genuine smile I've seen from him in months. Rebecca, you're amazing. Where was it? Just misplaced in my things. I'm so sorry for the confusion. They're standing close together, and for a moment they actually look like a happy couple. Dad's hand rests on her lower back, and she's gazing up at him with what could pass for genuine affection. It makes me sick because I can see how easy it would be to believe her act. So we're all set for Cabo? Dad asks hopefully. All set, Rebecca confirms. Just 3 more days. Dad turns to me. Sweetheart, I know this is short notice, but would you mind keeping an eye on the restaurant while we're gone? Just checking in every few days, making sure Tommy and the crew don't burn the place down. The irony is devastating. He wants me to watch over the restaurant while his wife sells it out from under him. Of course, Dad. You're the best. He hugs me tight, and I can smell the familiar mix of garlic and olive oil that always clings to his clothes after a shift. I know Mom would be proud of how you're looking after family. Over his shoulder, I see Rebecca watching us. Her expression is unreadable, but something cold flickers across her face when Dad mentions Mom. Actually, Rebecca interjects, I should mention that there might be some inspectors coming by the restaurant while we're gone. Routine city stuff, health department, fire marshal, that sort of thing. Dad frowns. Inspectors. We just had our annual review in October. Oh, you know how bureaucratic these things get. Something about updated zoning compliance. Rebecca waves her hand dismissively. I handled all the paperwork. Nothing to worry about. Zoning compliance. My stomach drops. She's not expecting health inspectors, she's expecting developers to assess the property for demolition. That night, I can't sleep. Every time I close my eyes, I see Rebecca's smug face as she talks about zoning compliance and business associates coming for Christmas dinner. I keep thinking about Dad's genuine smile when he found his passport, the first real happiness I've seen from him since Mom died. By 3 a.m., I give up on sleep and creep back to Dad's office. I need more evidence, something concrete enough to make him believe me when I finally tell him the truth. I'm photographing the mortgage documents when I hear footsteps in the hallway. Shit. I quickly shove everything back into the folders and dive under the desk just as the office door creaks open. Through the gap between the desk drawers, I can see Rebecca's bare feet padding across the carpet. My heart hammers so loud I'm sure she can hear it. She goes straight to the filing cabinet, not the one I was searching, but the smaller one in the corner. I hear the soft click of a key turning, then the whisper of papers being shuffled. What the hell is she doing at 3 a.m.? I risk tilting my head slightly and catch a glimpse of her pulling out what looks like legal documents. She spreads them across Dad's desk, and in the moonlight streaming through the window, I can make out letterhead from something called Morrison Estate Trust. Estate Trust? Dad never mentioned setting up any kind of trust. Rebecca pulls out her phone and takes pictures of the documents, just like I was doing earlier. But why would she need photos of papers she presumably filed herself? After what feels like an eternity, she gathers everything up and locks it back in the cabinet. I wait until her footsteps fade down the hallway before crawling out from under the desk, my legs cramping from staying curled up so long. The next morning, Dad's practically bouncing around the kitchen, more energetic than I've seen him in months. He's making his famous weekend pancakes, Mom's recipe, though he doesn't make them quite the same way she did. 2 more days until paradise, he grins, flipping a pancake with theatrical flair. Rebecca found this amazing resort with a spa and everything. She thinks the relaxation will be good for me. Rebecca appears in the doorway wearing a silk robe I've never seen before, looking like she just stepped out of a magazine. Did someone say spa? I booked you that deep tissue massage you mentioned wanting. They're so comfortable together, so domestic. It's like watching a perfect marriage, if you don't know what's happening behind the scenes. You two are adorable, I force myself to say, accepting a plate of pancakes. Your stepmom takes such good care of me, Dad says, squeezing Rebecca's hand. I don't know what I'd do without her. The words hit like a physical blow. Because after she destroys him financially and emotionally, that's exactly what he'll have to figure out. My phone buzzes with a text from Marcus, found something interesting about Meridian Development Corporation. Can you meet today? I glance up to find Rebecca watching me intently. Everything okay, sweetie? Just making plans with friends while you're gone. That's nice. But her eyes stay locked on my phone screen. Anyone I know? The question feels loaded. Like she's fishing to see if I've been talking to anyone about family business. Just college people, I lie. Dad's phone rings, interrupting the moment. Sophia's restaurant, this is James, what? No, that can't be right, hold on. He steps away from the table, his voice dropping to urgent whispers. I catch fragments, payment, and overdue, and there must be some mistake. Rebecca's perfectly composed mask slips for just a second. She looks panicked. Honey. Dad calls from the living room. Can you come here for a minute? Rebecca practically runs to him, leaving me alone in the kitchen. I strain to hear their conversation, but they're speaking too quietly. When they return, Dad looks confused and Rebecca looks like she's fighting to maintain control. Just some billing confusion, Rebecca says brightly. I'll handle it first thing Monday. But Dad's earlier excitement has dimmed. He keeps glancing between Rebecca and his phone with a worried expression. Maybe we should postpone the trip, he says slowly. If there are problems with the restaurant. Absolutely not. Rebecca's voice sharpens before she catches herself. I mean, darling, you need this vacation. One little billing mix-up isn't worth canceling our plans. Her desperation is showing, and I realize something crucial, she needs him out of town. Whatever she's planning can't happen if Dad's here to interfere. I excuse myself from the kitchen and immediately call Marcus back. I can meet in an hour. This is escalating fast. We agree to meet at a coffee shop near campus. I tell Dad and Rebecca I'm running errands, which isn't technically a lie. Marcus is already waiting when I arrive, a thick folder spread across our corner table. He looks grim. Okay, so I did some digging on Meridian Development Corp., he starts without preamble. They're legitimate, but here's the interesting part, they filed preliminary development plans with the city 6 months ago. For the exact block where your dad's restaurant sits. My blood chills. 6 months ago. That's before Rebecca even had ownership. Exactly. Which means she was in contact with them long before she legally controlled the property. That establishes premeditation for fraud. Marcus slides a document across the table. But it gets worse. I found Rebecca Morrison listed as a consulting partner on their LLC filing. I stare at the paper, my vision blurring. She's not just selling to them. She's working with them. It's a classic inside job. She marries your dad, gains access to the property, then uses her position to facilitate the sale to her business partners. They probably promised her a cut of the development profits. The coffee shop suddenly feels too hot, too crowded. How much are we talking about? Based on the development plans? That block is zoned for mixed-use high-density housing. We're talking millions, not thousands. The restaurant property is just the anchor piece they needed to make the whole project viable. My hands shake as I flip through the documents. Rebecca isn't just stealing my inheritance, she's orchestrating a multi-million-dollar real estate scam. There's more, Marcus continues. I pulled county records on Rebecca Morrison before she married your dad. Want to guess what I found? What? This isn't her first marriage. She was married twice before, both times to older men with significant assets. First husband died in a car accident 2 years into the marriage, she inherited his construction company. Second husband developed early onset dementia, she was granted power of attorney and sold off his properties before filing for divorce on grounds of mental incompetence. The room spins. Are you saying she's done this before? I'm saying Rebecca Morrison is a professional. This isn't crime of opportunity, it's her business model. I think about Dad mentioning how Rebecca understood his pain when they first met. How she swooped in during his darkest period. How quickly she pushed for marriage. Marcus, what if my dad's not her endgame? What if the restaurant is just the beginning? His expression darkens. What do you mean? Last night I saw her looking at estate trust documents. And she's somehow gotten herself listed as beneficiary on all his accounts. What if she's planning something more permanent than just theft? Marcus leans back in his chair. That's a very serious accusation. She's already destroyed 2 previous husbands. Dad's been struggling with depression since Mom died. If something happened to him after she cleaned out his assets, it would look like suicide, Marcus finishes quietly. Especially if he discovered the financial betrayal and felt responsible. The pieces click into place with horrifying clarity. Rebecca doesn't just want Dad's money, she wants him gone entirely. The restaurant theft will devastate him emotionally and financially. When he's at his lowest point, she'll be positioned to inherit everything as his grieving widow. I have to stop this, I whisper. We need to call the police. This is beyond fraud now, if you're right about her intentions, your father could be in real danger. I shake my head. No one will believe us without concrete proof. And even if they did, it would destroy Dad to learn everything at once. The shock alone could kill him. So what's your plan? I stare out the coffee shop window, watching normal people live their normal lives. In 48 hours, Dad will be on a plane to Mexico, completely unaware that his wife is planning to rob him blind and possibly worse. Christmas dinner, I say finally. She's invited her business partners to celebrate the restaurant sale. She's arrogant enough to think she's already won. What if we let her think that? Marcus raises an eyebrow. You want to let her steal the restaurant? I want her to try. With witnesses. If she's planning to celebrate her victory with the developers at Christmas dinner, that's when we expose everything. In front of everyone. That's incredibly risky. If something goes wrong. If I do nothing, my father loses everything anyway. At least this way, we control the timing. My phone buzzes with a text from Rebecca. Where are you, sweetie? Your father was asking. Even her fake concern through text message makes my skin crawl. I have to go, I tell Marcus, gathering up the documents. Can you help me put together a comprehensive evidence package? Everything we have on her previous marriages, the development conspiracy, the forged documents. Yes, but promise me you'll be careful. If Rebecca realizes you're onto her. I think about her cold eyes when she threatened me yesterday. About the way she materialized in Dad's office doorway like she'd been listening. About how quickly she found Dad's passport after testing my reactions. She's already suspicious. The question is whether I can stay ahead of her for 2 more days. When I get home, Dad's car is gone but Rebecca's BMW is still in the driveway. I find her in the living room, surrounded by photo albums I haven't seen in years, all of Mom's family pictures. Oh good, you're back, she says brightly, but there's something predatory in her smile. I was just looking through these wonderful memories. Your mother documented everything so beautifully. My stomach clenches. These are private family photos, Mom's childhood, her parents at the restaurant's grand opening, me as a baby being held by my great-grandmother in Sophia's kitchen. Rebecca has no right to touch them. Where's Dad? I ask, trying to keep my voice steady. Emergency at the restaurant. Something about a burst pipe in the storage room. Rebecca turns a page, revealing Mom's wedding photos. Such a shame, he was so looking forward to a relaxing afternoon before our trip. A burst pipe. How conveniently timed, just when Dad was starting to ask questions about those overdue bills. I should go help him, I say, grabbing my keys. Oh, don't bother, sweetie. He took Tommy and the whole crew. Too many cooks, you know. Rebecca's fingers trace over a photo of Mom in her wedding dress. Your mother was so beautiful. It must be hard, seeing your father move on. The casual cruelty takes my breath away. She's trying to get a reaction, pushing to see if I'll crack. Dad deserves to be happy, I force out. He does. And he will be, once he stops clinging to the past. Rebecca closes the album with a soft thud. Sometimes we have to make difficult decisions for the people we love. Help them see what's truly best for their future. My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. This is Tommy from Sophia's. Your dad wanted you to know there's no emergency here. We're confused why Rebecca told him about a pipe burst. Everything's fine. My blood turns to ice. Rebecca sent Dad on a wild goose chase to get him out of the house. But why? Actually, Rebecca continues, standing up and smoothing her skirt, since we have some privacy, there's something we should discuss. Woman to woman. She walks to the mantel and picks up the framed photo of Mom that Dad keeps there, the last professional picture taken before she got sick. Her fingers hover over Mom's face like she's contemplating something. I know you went through your father's office yesterday, she says quietly. I know you found things that confused you. My mouth goes dry. I was just looking for Dad's passport, like he asked. Of course you were. Rebecca sets the photo down, but not quite in the same spot. The thing is, sweetie, your father has been struggling more than you realize. The grief, the financial pressure, the responsibility of keeping your mother's dream alive, it's been overwhelming for him. She's building up to something, and every instinct screams danger. Sometimes, Rebecca continues, the kindest thing we can do is take difficult decisions out of someone's hands. Your father is too sentimental to make the practical choices his future requires. What are you saying? Rebecca's mask finally slips completely. Her voice turns cold and businesslike. I'm saying that I've worked very hard to position our family for success. The restaurant is a financial burden that's slowly killing your father's spirit. The sale will free him to actually enjoy the rest of his life. You mean the sale you arranged without telling him? I mean the sale that will save him from bankruptcy. Rebecca steps closer, and I catch a whiff of expensive perfume, nothing like Mom's soft lavender scent. Those foreclosure notices you found? They're real. Your father hasn't been paying attention to the books since your mother died. I've been covering the shortfalls out of my own savings for months. It's a lie wrapped in just enough truth to sound believable. Dad has been distracted and emotional. Maybe he did fall behind on payments without realizing it. But forging documents. I never forged anything, Rebecca cuts me off. Your father signed those papers during one of his bad days. He doesn't remember because he's been having more of those lately. The grief is affecting his memory, his judgment. I've been protecting him from his own poor decisions. The gaslighting is masterful. She's making me question everything I saw with my own eyes. You're lying, I say, but my voice wavers. Rebecca's explanation is so smooth, so reasonable. What if Dad really did sign those papers during a grief episode? What if I'm wrong about everything? Am I? Rebecca tilts her head, studying my face. When's the last time you had a real conversation with your father about the restaurant's finances? When's the last time you saw him balance the books or review invoices? My mind races. Dad has seemed scattered lately. Last month when I was home, he forgot we had dinner plans and stayed at the restaurant until midnight doing inventory that Tommy had already finished. And there was that weird moment when he couldn't remember Mom's birthday and got angry when I reminded him. I can see you're starting to understand, Rebecca continues, her voice softening into fake sympathy. Your father is sick, honey. Not physically, but mentally. The depression is getting worse, not better. I've been shielding you from the worst of it because I know how much you love him. If that were true, you'd encourage him to get help, not steal his property. Rebecca's eyes flash with irritation before she recovers. I'm not stealing anything. I'm saving what's left of our family's future. Do you want to know what those developers offered originally? $50,000. That's what your precious restaurant is actually worth with all its debt and deferred maintenance. My stomach lurches. You said the offer was $300,000. That's what I negotiated it up to. By positioning myself as the owner, I was able to present the property as debt-free to potential buyers. I've spent the last 6 months cleaning up your father's financial disasters. She reaches into her purse and pulls out a thick stack of papers. Bank statements. Credit card bills. Loan documents. Your father has been hemorrhaging money for over a year, trying to keep that restaurant afloat with customer loans and credit advances. He's been too ashamed to tell you. I grab the papers, scanning the numbers with growing horror. The restaurant's business account shows constant overdrafts. There are cash advances from multiple credit cards, all in Dad's name. Late payment notices for everything from utilities to food suppliers. This can't be real. Your mother's medical bills didn't just disappear when she died, Rebecca says quietly. The insurance covered maybe 60% of her treatments. Your father has been paying the rest out of the restaurant's operating budget, taking cash advances to keep the lights on. My hands shake as I flip through more documents. There's a second mortgage on our house that I never knew about. Multiple business loans with astronomical interest rates. Dad's personal savings account shows a balance of negative $2,000. He never told me any of this. Because he's ashamed. And because he's not thinking clearly anymore. Rebecca takes the papers back, her movements gentle and careful. I know this is hard to accept, but your father needed someone to make the difficult choices he couldn't face. I think about Dad's behavior over the past few months. The way he'd stare off into space during conversations. How he'd started drinking wine with dinner every night, sometimes 2 glasses. The morning I found him crying in the restaurant kitchen at 6 a.m. because he couldn't remember how to make Mom's marinara sauce. Even if that's all true, I say weakly, you should have told me. We could have figured something out together. Rebecca's expression hardens just slightly. You're 22 years old, honey. You're supposed to be focusing on college and building your own future, not managing your father's financial disasters. That's what wives do. The possessiveness in her voice makes my skin crawl, but I'm starting to doubt everything I thought I knew. What if Marcus got it wrong? What if the timeline is different than we assumed? What if Rebecca really is trying to help Dad in her own twisted way? My phone buzzes with another text from Tommy. Your dad's still here looking for this pipe problem that doesn't exist. Should I tell him to go home? I show Rebecca the message, watching her face carefully. Why did you send him on a wild goose chase? I didn't send him anywhere. He got a call from someone claiming to be from the city utilities department. Rebecca frowns, looking genuinely confused. You don't think I would lie about something like that, do you? But there's something in her eyes, a flicker of calculation that doesn't match her concerned tone. She's lying about the phone call, which means she's probably lying about everything else too. I should go help Dad, I say, testing her reaction. Of course. But sweetie. Rebecca touches my arm, her grip just a little too tight. I hope you understand why this conversation needs to stay between us. Your father is fragile right now. Learning that you've been questioning my decisions would devastate him. Another threat, wrapped in concern for Dad's well-being. I text Tommy back quickly, don't tell Dad I know about the fake emergency. I'm on my way. Rebecca watches me type, her eyes narrowing slightly. Everything okay? Just letting him know I'm coming. I grab my jacket, but Rebecca steps between me and the door. Actually, honey, I've been thinking about our conversation. I know this is a lot to process. Her voice has that dangerously sweet tone again. Maybe it would be better if you stayed here while I go help your father. You look upset, and seeing you distressed would only worry him more. She's trying to keep me away from Dad. Whatever game she's playing, she needs him isolated. I'm fine, Rebecca. Dad's expecting me. Is he though? She tilts her head, studying me like I'm a puzzle she's trying to solve. Because I just got a text from him saying Tommy has everything under control. She shows me her phone screen, and sure enough, there's a message from Dad, crisis handled. Tommy's got it covered. See you at home. But the timestamp shows it was sent 3 minutes ago, before I even decided to go help him. How did he know I was planning to come unless Rebecca told him? Weird timing, I say carefully. Rebecca shrugs, but her shoulders are tense. Your father's always been good at anticipating what people need. It's what made him such a good husband to your mother. The way she says it makes my stomach turn. Like she's studying Mom's marriage to replicate it perfectly. My phone rings, Dad's name on the screen. Rebecca and I both stare at it. Hi Dad, I answer, watching Rebecca's face. Sweetheart, the strangest thing just happened. Someone called claiming there was a water emergency, but when I got here everything was fine. Tommy said no one from the city has been by. That is weird, I say, maintaining eye contact with Rebecca. Her jaw tightens almost imperceptibly. I'm starting to think someone's playing pranks. First my passport goes missing, now fake emergency calls. Dad sounds tired and frustrated. I just want to get through the next 2 days and get on that plane. Maybe you should come home and rest. Actually, I think I'll stay here and catch up on some paperwork. Being here helps me think clearly, you know. Away from all the complications at home. Rebecca's face goes pale. Dad's starting to put pieces together on his own. That sounds good, Dad. Take your time. After I hang up, Rebecca and I stand in uncomfortable silence. Her mask of concerned stepmom is slipping, revealing something calculating underneath. Your father works too hard, she says finally. All this stress can't be good for his heart. The comment feels loaded with meaning I don't want to understand. His heart is fine, Rebecca. Is it though? He's been having chest pains lately. Shortness of breath. I've been encouraging him to see a doctor, but you know how stubborn men can be about their health. A chill runs down my spine. Dad never mentioned chest pains to me. When did this start? Oh, a few weeks ago. Right around the time those financial documents started piling up. Stress manifests physically, you know. Rebecca walks to the kitchen, moving with purpose. I've been giving him some herbal supplements to help with relaxation. Natural remedies are so much better than pharmaceutical interventions. She opens a cabinet I've never seen unlocked before and pulls out a bottle of pills that definitely don't look herbal. The label is turned away from me, but I catch a glimpse of a prescription sticker. What kind of supplements? I ask, trying to sound casual. Just something to help with anxiety and sleep. The poor man has been having such terrible nightmares. Rebecca shakes a few pills into her palm, then seems to remember I'm watching. Of course, once we get back from vacation, I'm sure he'll feel much better. Sometimes a change of scenery is the best medicine. My mouth goes dry. She's been drugging him. That would explain Dad's recent memory issues, his scattered behavior, the emotional volatility I attributed to grief. I should probably get some rest too, I say, backing toward the stairs. Long day tomorrow with your packing and everything. Sweet dreams, honey. Rebecca's smile doesn't reach her eyes. And remember what we discussed about keeping family business private. Some conversations are better left between adults. I practically run up to my room, my mind racing. Rebecca has been systematically drugging Dad, stealing his assets, and now she's talking about his heart problems like she's anticipating them getting worse. I need to get Dad away from her immediately, but how do I convince him that his loving wife is slowly poisoning him? Especially when his judgment is compromised by whatever she's been giving him. My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. This is Rebecca. I switch to a new phone for our trip. Delete this number after reading. Some things are better kept private. See you at Christmas dinner. Smiling face with smiling eyes. The emoji makes it even more sinister. She's watching me, testing me, making sure I know she's in control. 2 more days until they leave for Mexico. Except now I'm not sure Dad's coming back. I stare at Rebecca's threatening text message, my hands trembling. The innocent smiley face emoji feels like a knife twisting in my gut. She knows I'm onto her, and she's not even pretending to hide it anymore. I need to get to Dad immediately, but first I have to figure out what she's been giving him. I creep back downstairs, listening for any sound of Rebecca moving around. The house is eerily quiet. The kitchen cabinet she opened is still unlocked. Inside, behind boxes of tea and bottles of vitamins, I find what I'm looking for, a prescription bottle with the label partially peeled off. What I can make out makes my blood run cold, azepam 2 milligrams, for anxiety. May cause memory impairment and confusion. She's been giving Dad benzodiazepines. No wonder he's been scattered and forgetful. No wonder he signed documents he doesn't remember. Rebecca has been chemically compromising his judgment for months. I photograph the bottle and quickly search the rest of the cabinet. There's another prescription hidden behind the flour canister, something for blood pressure that's definitely not prescribed to anyone named Morrison. The dosage instructions are in a different language, but I recognize enough to know this isn't something you give to someone with a healthy heart. My phone rings, making me jump. It's Marcus. I found something else, he says without preamble. Rebecca's second husband. The one with dementia. I got hold of his medical records through a contact at the hospital. His symptoms started shortly after their marriage, and they were consistent with gradual poisoning. Poisoning. I whisper, clutching the prescription bottles. Heavy metals, specifically. Small doses over time, designed to mimic neurological decline. By the time anyone suspected foul play, she'd already liquidated his assets and filed for divorce. I think about Dad's recent confusion, his memory lapses, the chest pains Rebecca mentioned. Marcus, I think she's doing the same thing to my father. I found prescription medications hidden in our kitchen, and she's been giving him herbal supplements. Jesus. We need to get him to a hospital for blood work immediately. He won't go. He trusts her completely, and whatever she's giving him is affecting his judgment. I pace around the kitchen, my mind racing. Plus she's convinced him I'm just a worried college kid who doesn't understand adult finances. Then we force the issue. Call Adult Protective Services, report suspected elder abuse. With what proof? Some pills that might not even be the ones she's giving him. Photos of documents that could have legitimate explanations. I run my hand through my hair, frustrated. She's been perfecting this con for years, Marcus. She'll have answers for everything. A car door slams outside, Dad's home from the restaurant. I quickly shove the pill bottles back into the cabinet and close it just as his key turns in the front door. Rebecca? Honey, I'm home. Dad calls out, but his voice sounds off. Slurred, like he's been drinking. But it's only 4 p.m., and Dad never drinks during the day. I find him in the living room, swaying slightly on his feet. His pupils are dilated, and there's a strange flush to his cheeks. Dad, are you okay? Just tired, sweetheart. Rebecca made me this amazing smoothie before I left for the restaurant. Said it would give me energy, but now I feel. He sits down heavily on the couch, blinking slowly. Maybe I'm getting sick. Rebecca appears from upstairs, having changed into yoga clothes that make her look younger and more innocent. Darling. You're home early. How are you feeling? Dizzy, Dad admits, rubbing his temples. And my chest feels tight again. Oh no, Rebecca coos, rushing to his side. I think you might be having an anxiety attack. Here, let me get you something to help you relax. She's heading back to the kitchen, probably to get more of whatever she gave him in that smoothie. I have to stop this. Actually, Dad, maybe we should take you to the doctor, I suggest quickly. Chest pains aren't something to ignore. Rebecca's head snaps toward me, her eyes flashing with warning. Sweetie, your father just needs rest. Too much medical intervention can sometimes make anxiety worse. But if he's having chest pains... I'm fine, Dad interrupts, though he doesn't look fine at all. His breathing is shallow, and sweat beads on his forehead despite the cool temperature. Rebecca knows what she's doing. She used to be a nurse, remember? I didn't know that. Another convenient piece of Rebecca's background that perfectly positions her to monitor Dad's health problems. What kind of nursing? I ask, watching her face. Geriatric care, Rebecca answers smoothly. I specialized in helping elderly patients manage complex medication regimens. It's how I met my previous husband, actually. The husband she poisoned into dementia. My phone buzzes with a text from Tommy. Your dad seemed really out of it when he left here. Almost like he was drunk, but he didn't smell like alcohol. Should I be worried? I show the message to Dad, hoping it might make him reconsider seeing a doctor, but his eyes can barely focus on the screen. Tommy worries too much, he mumbles. I'm just tired. This vacation can't come soon enough. Rebecca shoots me a triumphant look. In less than 48 hours, she'll have Dad isolated in a foreign country, completely dependent on her for everything. If something happens to him there. I think I'll make some coffee, I announce, desperate to get Rebecca away from Dad. Want some help, Rebecca? That's so sweet of you to offer. But her tone makes it clear she knows exactly what I'm trying to do. In the kitchen, Rebecca drops all pretense of friendliness. Her voice becomes cold and businesslike. I meant what I said about keeping family business private, she says quietly, pulling ingredients from the refrigerator. Your father's health is fragile right now. Any additional stress could be very dangerous for him. What's in the smoothies you've been making him? Rebecca's hand freezes on the blender. Fruits and vegetables. Protein powder. Things that are good for his heart. And the herbal supplements. Natural anxiety remedies. She turns to face me fully, and there's something predatory in her expression. You seem very concerned about your father's medication all of a sudden. I hope you're not planning to do anything that might interfere with his treatment. The threat is crystal clear. If I try to expose her, she'll claim I'm the one endangering Dad's health by interfering with his medical care. From the living room, I hear Dad's voice, weak and confused. Rebecca? I think something's wrong. My vision is getting blurry. Rebecca's mask slips back into place instantly. Coming, darling, she calls out sweetly, then lowers her voice to a whisper meant only for me. Natural supplements can have side effects if someone isn't used to them. I hope your father adjusts well to his new regimen. She's not even hiding it anymore. She's telling me exactly what she's doing, daring me to try and stop her. As Rebecca hurries back to Dad with whatever concoction she's prepared, I realize the situation has moved far beyond financial fraud. This is attempted murder, playing out in slow motion in my own living room. And I have less than 2 days to save my father's life. I watch Rebecca spoon-feed Dad another smoothie while he slumps against the couch cushions, barely able to keep his eyes open. The satisfied smile on her face makes me want to scream. There you go, darling, she coos, wiping his chin like he's a child. This will help with the dizziness. Dad manages a weak smile. You take such good care of me. Don't know what I'd do without you. My heart breaks watching him thank her for poisoning him. I pull out my phone to text Marcus, but Rebecca's voice stops me cold. Sweetheart, would you mind putting your phone away? Your father needs quiet right now. All that technology can be so overwhelming when someone isn't feeling well. Her tone is sweet, but her eyes promise consequences if I don't comply. I reluctantly slip the phone into my pocket. Actually, Rebecca continues, settling beside Dad on the couch, I've been thinking about tomorrow's packing. Maybe it would be better if you stayed elsewhere tonight. Give your father space to rest before our big trip. She's trying to get me out of the house. Away from Dad when he's most vulnerable. I'd rather stay close, in case Dad needs anything. Oh, but I'll be here to take care of him. Rebecca's fingers stroke Dad's hair possessively. Besides, didn't you mention wanting to see those college friends? This might be your last chance before we leave. Dad's head lolls slightly as he tries to focus on our conversation. Maybe that's a good idea, sweetheart. Have fun with your friends. Even drugged, he's trying to encourage me to live my life. The guilt is crushing. I'll think about it, I lie. My phone buzzes insistently in my pocket, probably Marcus wondering why I haven't responded. Rebecca's eyes narrow at the sound. Actually, you know what? I think I will go see some friends tonight, I say suddenly. Let me just grab a few things from my room. Rebecca looks pleased, like she's won another small victory. Take your time, honey. Your father and I are just going to have a quiet evening. I kiss Dad's forehead, and his skin feels clammy and too warm. Feel better, okay? Love you, sweetheart, he mumbles, his words slurring together. Upstairs, I quickly throw some clothes into a bag while frantically texting Marcus, emergency. She's escalating. Dad's barely conscious from whatever she gave him. She wants me out of the house tonight. His response is immediate, do not leave him alone with her. I'm calling police. No cops yet. Need more evidence or she'll claim he's just sick. Meet me somewhere in 20 minutes. I sneak back downstairs, bag in hand. Rebecca is in the kitchen again, washing the blender with suspicious thoroughness, destroying evidence. All set? She asks brightly. Almost. Just want to say goodbye to Dad again. But when I return to the living room, Dad's condition has worsened dramatically. His breathing is shallow and rapid, and his lips have a grayish tint. Rebecca. I call out, genuine panic overriding my suspicion. Something's really wrong. She appears instantly, but instead of alarm, I catch a flicker of satisfaction before she schools her expression into concern. Oh my, she says, pressing the back of her hand to Dad's forehead. He's burning up. This might be more serious than I thought. She's acting surprised, but this is exactly what she wanted. Dad's not just drugged, he's having some kind of medical crisis. We need to call 911, I say, reaching for my phone. Wait. Rebecca catches my wrist, her grip iron tight. Let me check his pulse first. Sometimes anxiety attacks can mimic more serious symptoms. She's stalling, and I realize with horror that she wants Dad to get worse. Whatever she gave him in that last smoothie was meant to push him over the edge. His lips are gray, Rebecca. That's not anxiety. You're right to be concerned, she says, finally releasing my wrist. But your father has very specific feelings about hospitals. Remember how traumatic your mother's experience was? He made me promise never to put him through that unless absolutely necessary. It's a lie designed to prey on my emotions, but it works. Dad was devastated by Mom's final weeks in the hospital. He did say he never wanted to die that way. While I hesitate, torn between respecting Dad's wishes and saving his life, Rebecca makes the choice for both of us. I think, she says softly, that your father would want to be comfortable at home, surrounded by people who love him. Sometimes the kindest thing we can do is simply be present. She's asking me to watch my father die. The words hit me like ice water. Rebecca is literally asking me to stand by and watch Dad die, framing it as some kind of mercy. No, I say firmly, pulling out my phone. I'm calling an ambulance. Rebecca's mask finally drops completely. Her voice turns sharp and commanding. Put the phone down. Go to hell. I start dialing 911, but Rebecca lunges forward and grabs Dad's shoulders, shaking him roughly. James. James, wake up. Your daughter is trying to have you committed. Dad's eyes flutter open, unfocused and confused. What's happening? Sweetheart, she wants to call the paramedics, Rebecca says in a panicked voice. She thinks you're dying, but I told her you just need rest. You don't want to go back to a hospital, do you? Not after what happened with Sarah. The mention of Mom's name in this context makes me sick, but it works. Dad's face crumples with remembered pain. No hospitals, he whispers. Please, no hospitals. Rebecca shoots me a triumphant look. You see. Your father has made his wishes clear. Calling emergency services against his will would be traumatic for him. My finger hovers over the call button. Dad's breathing is getting more labored, but he's conscious enough to refuse medical help. If I call anyway, Rebecca will spin it as me forcing unwanted treatment on a grieving man who's already been through hell. At least let me call his regular doctor, I compromise desperately. Dr. Peterson is out of town for the holidays, Rebecca replies smoothly. I already checked when James started feeling unwell earlier. Another lie, probably, but I can't prove it. Rebecca has an answer for everything because she's been planning this for months. My phone buzzes with an incoming call, Marcus. Rebecca sees his name on the screen. Who's Marcus? She asks, her voice deceptively casual. A friend from college. You've been getting a lot of calls from friends lately. I hope you haven't been discussing family business with outsiders. There's menace in her tone, a reminder that she's still holding cards I don't know about. I let the call go to voicemail. Dad tries to sit up straighter, his movements slow and unsteady. Maybe I should try to eat something. Might help with the dizziness. That's a wonderful idea, Rebecca says quickly. I'll make you some soup. Something light and easy to digest. She's heading back to the kitchen, probably to add more poison to whatever she prepares. I can't let her out of my sight. I'll help, I announce, following her. That's really not necessary. I insist. In the kitchen, Rebecca moves with practiced efficiency, but I notice her slip something from her pocket into the soup pot when she thinks I'm not looking. A small packet that dissolves instantly. What was that? I demand. Electrolyte powder, she says without missing a beat. For dehydration. I know it's another lie, but what can I do? Knock the soup out of her hands. Dad is already suspicious of my overreactions. My phone buzzes with a text from Marcus. Police won't act without concrete evidence of immediate danger. Working on getting toxicology expert to the house. Keep him conscious. Keep him conscious. That's the key. Whatever Rebecca is giving him works faster when he's unconscious and can't resist. Actually, Dad, I call out to the living room, want to watch a movie while Rebecca makes soup. Something funny might help you feel better. Rebecca's eyes narrow, but she can't object without seeming cruel. That sounds nice, Dad responds weakly. I help him sit up straighter and turn on an old comedy we used to watch together when I was younger. Dad manages a few weak chuckles, and for a moment his eyes seem clearer. You know, he says during a commercial break, I've been having the strangest dreams lately. Really vivid nightmares about your mother. Rebecca appears from the kitchen, soup bowl in hand. Dreams can be so unsettling when we're not feeling well. But Dad continues, his voice growing stronger. In the dreams, she's trying to tell me something important. Something about. He pauses, struggling to find the words. About being careful who I trust. Rebecca's hand tightens on the soup bowl. Grief can manifest in so many ways, darling. Dreams often reflect our subconscious anxieties. Maybe, Dad says slowly. But these feel different. Like warnings. I hold my breath. Is Dad starting to remember something? Fighting through the fog Rebecca's been keeping him in. Here's your soup, Rebecca says, settling beside him with a bowl. This will help you feel so much better. As she lifts the spoon toward his lips, Dad's phone rings. He glances at it, squinting to read the caller ID. It's Tommy, he says, confused. Why would he call this late? Rebecca's face goes pale. You don't need to answer that. You should focus on resting. But Dad's already reaching for the phone, his movements slow but determined. Tommy wouldn't call unless it was important. Dad manages to answer the phone on the fourth ring, his hand trembling as he holds it to his ear. Tommy. What's wrong? His voice is still slurred, but there's concern cutting through the fog. I can't hear Tommy's side of the conversation, but I watch Dad's face change. His brow furrows, and he sits up straighter, suddenly more alert than he's been all evening. What do you mean, papers? What kind of papers? Dad's eyes find mine across the room, confusion and something else, fear, flickering in them. Rebecca sets the soup bowl down with a sharp clink, her composure cracking. James, you really shouldn't be taking business calls when you're not feeling well. Dad holds up a hand to silence her, his focus entirely on Tommy's voice. The gesture is weak, but it's the first time I've seen him assert himself around Rebecca in months. Slow down, Tommy. Say that again about the health department. My stomach drops. The fake inspectors Rebecca mentioned, they must have shown up at the restaurant. But if Tommy's calling Dad about it, that means they weren't city officials at all. No, I didn't authorize any property assessment, Dad says, his voice getting stronger. And I certainly didn't give anyone permission to take photographs of the kitchen equipment for valuation purposes. Rebecca stands abruptly, pacing toward the window like a caged animal. Her careful plan is unraveling, and I can see her mind racing for damage control. Tommy, listen to me very carefully, Dad continues, and now he sounds almost like his old self. Call the police. Report trespassing. And whatever you do, don't let anyone else into that building without seeing proper city identification. After Dad hangs up, the silence in our living room is deafening. He stares at the phone in his hand, then slowly looks up at Rebecca. Honey, he says quietly, who did you say was handling the restaurant inspections while we're gone? Rebecca's laugh sounds forced and brittle. Darling, you're not thinking clearly. The medication, you're not feeling well. Maybe Tommy misunderstood what he saw. Tommy's worked for me for 8 years. He knows what real city inspectors look like. Dad sets the phone down carefully, his movements deliberate despite his obvious weakness. He said 3 people in expensive suits spent 2 hours measuring the dining room and taking pictures of our equipment. That's not a health inspection, Rebecca. I'm sure there's a reasonable explanation. Then explain it. Dad's voice cuts through her protests like a knife. For the first time since Mom died, he sounds like the man who built a successful business from nothing. Explain why strangers are evaluating my restaurant without my knowledge. Rebecca glances at me, and I see desperation creeping into her expression. She needs Dad confused and compliant, but Tommy's phone call has cut through whatever she's been giving him. James, you're getting agitated, and that's not good for your heart, she says, reaching for the soup bowl again. Please, just have some of this soup and we'll discuss everything tomorrow when you're feeling better. But Dad pushes the bowl away, soup splashing onto the coffee table. I don't want any more of your soup. I don't want any more of your smoothies. And I want to know right now why people are photographing my restaurant like they're planning to buy it. The accusation hangs in the air between them. Rebecca's face cycles through surprise, hurt, and something darker before settling on wounded innocence. How can you say that? After everything I've done to help you since Sarah died. Her voice breaks perfectly, tears appearing on cue. I've sacrificed so much to take care of you, and now you're acting like I'm some kind of criminal. It's a masterful performance, designed to make Dad feel guilty for questioning her. And I can see it working, his expression softens slightly, doubt creeping back in. I'm sorry, he starts to say, but then his phone buzzes with a text message. He glances at it, and his face goes completely white. Rebecca, he whispers, staring at the screen. This is from our bank. They're saying someone tried to withdraw $50,000 from our joint account an hour ago. From a branch in downtown. Rebecca goes very, very still. The blood drains from Rebecca's face as Dad stares at his phone screen. For the first time since I've known her, she's completely speechless. $50,000, Dad repeats, his voice getting stronger with each word. From downtown. While you've been here all evening, supposedly taking care of me. There must be some mistake, Rebecca starts, but Dad's already dialing the bank's fraud hotline. Yes, this is James Morrison. I need to report unauthorized access to my account. His hands are steadier now, the fog of whatever she'd been giving him clearing with each surge of adrenaline. Account number ending in 7394. Rebecca lunges for the phone, but I block her path. Don't even think about it. You don't understand, she hisses at me. Your father is sick. He's not thinking clearly. He's thinking more clearly than he has in months, I shoot back, then pull out my own phone. Marcus. We need you here now. Bring everything. Dad's conversation with the bank continues in the background. What do you mean there's been suspicious activity for weeks? I never authorized any of those transfers. Rebecca's mask finally shatters completely. Gone is the sweet, caring stepmother. In her place stands someone cold and calculating, weighing her options like a cornered predator. You have no idea what you're dealing with, she tells me quietly. Your father was a broken man when I found him. I gave him purpose, stability. You gave him poison, I interrupt, pulling out the photos I took of the prescription bottles. Benzodiazepines that aren't prescribed to him. Blood pressure medication that could kill someone with a healthy heart. Want to explain those? Dad overhears and slowly hangs up the phone, his eyes wide. What medication? Rebecca, what is she talking about? For a moment, Rebecca looks like she might continue lying. Then something shifts in her expression, a cold acceptance that the game is over. Your precious daughter has been spying on us, James. Going through our private papers, making wild accusations. Her voice turns venomous. She never accepted our marriage. She's been trying to turn you against me from the beginning. The bank says you've been making transfers for 3 months, Dad says slowly, pieces clicking together in his mind. Small amounts at first, then larger ones. They flagged today's attempt because it was so much bigger than the pattern. I was protecting our assets. From what? From me. Dad stands up, swaying slightly but determined. Rebecca, did you take money from our accounts without telling me? The front door opens before she can answer. Marcus walks in with 2 other people, a woman in a police uniform and a man carrying what looks like a medical bag. Mr. Morrison. I'm Officer Chin. We'd like to ask you some questions about potential financial fraud. Rebecca's composure finally cracks completely. This is ridiculous. I'm his wife. Everything I did was for our family. Including forging property transfer documents. Marcus asks, pulling out the evidence folder we compiled. Including intercepting foreclosure notices. Including slowly poisoning him to make him compliant. The man with the medical bag, who introduces himself as Dr. Rodriguez, a toxicologist, approaches Dad gently. Sir, we'd like to run some blood tests, with your permission. To check for substances that might explain your recent symptoms. Dad nods shakily, finally understanding the full scope of what's been happening to him. As Officer Chin reads Rebecca her rights, she turns to me one last time. You have no idea what you've destroyed. Your father needed me. Without me, he'll lose everything anyway. No, I say firmly, taking Dad's hand as Dr. Rodriguez draws his blood. Without you, he'll finally have a chance to heal. 6 months later, Dad and I stand in Sophia's kitchen, working side by side on Mom's marinara recipe. His hands are steady now, his mind clear. The restaurant is thriving again, and Rebecca is serving 5 to 7 years for fraud, forgery, and attempted poisoning. You know, Dad says, stirring the sauce, I think your mom would be proud of how you fought for our family. I smile, breathing in the familiar sense of garlic and basil. I think she would be proud of how we're carrying on her legacy. The restaurant is ours again. Our family is safe. And Rebecca's Christmas dinner celebration never happened, unless you count the one we're planning, where the only thing being served is justice.